The episode officially begins in Elizabeth Thatcher's classroom. The children are curiously asking her about Jack and the possibility of him inviting her to dinner. Elizabeth, slightly flustered, tries to steer the conversation elsewhere. Just then, the two Weaver boys, accompanied by their 16-year-old sister, Wyatt, arrive to enroll in school. Elizabeth welcomes them warmly. Wyatt, despite having been out of school for 3 years, proves to be intelligent and knowledgeable about science, especially Thomas Edison, greatly impressing Elizabeth. She encourages Wyatt to continue attending class, but Wyatt informs her that she will start working in the mine the next day. Julie prepares to leave Coal Valley to return home. She feels she has brought enough excitement to the town and wishes to enjoy modern comforts like hot baths and servants. Elizabeth promises to visit her sister. Before leaving, Julie doesn't forget to ask Elizabeth about Jack and whether he would stay in Cape Fullerton, but Elizabeth asserts that regardless, she will remain in Coal Valley. The two sisters bid a tearful farewell. Soon after Julie's departure, another unexpected guest arrives in Coal Valley, a beautiful and charming woman named Rosemary Levos. She seems quite surprised by the smallness of the town. Upon meeting Elizabeth, Rosemary introduces herself and reveals she has come to find her fiancé. And that fiancé is none other than Jack Thornton, who also returns to town at that very moment. Rosemary joyfully runs to embrace Jack, addressing him affectionately and complimenting him on being more handsome than ever. Jack, looking somewhat surprised and uncomfortable, remarks that Rosemary looks healthy. Elizabeth, witnessing this scene, is stunned and embarrassed, hastily trying to leave despite Jack and Rosemary's attempts to detain her. Rosemary explains to Jack that she came because she couldn't bear life in New York without him, even though she was the one who had broken off their engagement. Jack reminds her that 2 years have passed and things can't stay the same, but Rosemary confidently states her feelings haven't changed and if Jack's have, she will do whatever it takes to win him back. Elizabeth, in a state of turmoil, seeks out Abigail. She cannot believe Jack was engaged and never told her. Abigail is equally surprised. Elizabeth recalls how Rosemary jumped into Jack's arms, as if they were already married. She tries to console herself that Rosemary isn't that pretty, but Abigail bluntly says Rosemary is very beautiful. Elizabeth decides to stay in her room, eat biscuits, and not wish to be disturbed if Jack comes looking for her. Jack takes Rosemary to Tom's boarding house. Rosemary appears rather picky and theatrical, but eventually accepts a room next to room 8, hoping Jack is staying there, but Jack informs her he sleeps at the jail. Another new character arrives in town, Inspector Bill Avery, a forensic investigator from Cape Fullerton. Jack has invited him to investigate the mine explosion. Bill meets Abigail at her cafe and introduces the purpose of his visit, to build a case against the Pacific Northwest Mining Company for the unsafe conditions that led to the tragic deaths of 46 men, including Abigail's husband and son. Abigail, who has waited for this for a very long time, promises to help Bill in every way she can. That evening, Jack tries to see Elizabeth to explain, but she slams her window shut. Rosemary is with Jack, and he introduces her to Elizabeth. Inspector Avery and Jack visit the site of the mine explosion. The entrance to the shaft has been boarded up by the company for safety reasons, which Bill finds suspiciously convenient. Jack shares that the town and its people, especially Elizabeth, have grown on him. Bill Avery later visits Henry Goen at the mine, introducing himself as a forensic investigator for the Northwest Mounted Police, there to investigate the explosion. Goen appears cooperative on the surface but seems displeased. Elizabeth, still upset and confused, goes to her classroom. Jack is waiting for her there. He explains that he is not going to Cape Fullerton but has decided to stay in Coal Valley because this is where he belongs. Elizabeth coldly points out the word perfidy, betrayal, in her dictionary. Jack admits he should have told her about Rosemary, his former fiancée, but he didn't want to open old wounds. Elizabeth questions if Rosemary hurt him, and Jack doesn't deny it. She can't help but wonder what else Jack hasn't told her. Jack insists his heart is true and hopes that, over time, she will see that. Wyatt, Jem, comes to see Elizabeth to return the college books she had lent her, saying she found them very interesting. Elizabeth is very impressed to learn Wyatt read both books in just a couple of nights, including one that Elizabeth herself found difficult. She expresses her regret that Wyatt has to work in the mine. Bill Avery visits Abigail's cafe, where she is helping a newly arrived family. Abigail shares with Bill the pain of losing her husband and son and how speaking of them helps keep their memory alive. Bill empathizes, sharing that he often spends his time alone or with strangers, and working with Jack and Abigail on this case feels different. He admits he might have been at fault for making Abigail share too many personal matters, but explains it's part of his job to get people to open up. He affirms their common goal, to find justice for Abigail's family and those who have suffered. Abigail entrusts Bill with Noah's journal, which she found in her late husband's pocket after the explosion, hoping it will aid the investigation. She also tells Bill about the Weaver family and their intelligent son, Wyatt. Gowan and the mining company's lawyer discuss how to deal with Bill Avery's investigation, fearing Abigail is cooperating with him. They decide they must stop the investigation before they dig any deeper. Rosemary Levos and Dottie Ramsey meet at the general store. Rosemary, with the flair of an actress, shares stories of her career in New York. Elizabeth happens to be there. Rosemary subtly mentions Jack, saying he also looks good in red. The conversation becomes slightly tense when Dottie asks Elizabeth how well she knows Jack, and Rosemary reveals that she and Jack have known each other forever, as their fathers were mounted colleagues. Rosemary also mentions Jack once wanted to be a painter, a detail that surprises Elizabeth. Elizabeth receives a letter from her parents, informing her they have secured a prestigious teaching position for her at a preparatory school back home, where she would be the first woman on staff. They also express their concern for her safety after her ordeal with the outlaws. Elizabeth visits the Weaver home to speak with Wyatt's mother about his potential. She explains that Wyatt has an extraordinary intellect, possibly a genius, and with the right opportunity, he could achieve great things, even becoming the next Thomas Edison. She offers to apply for a scholarship for Wyatt at a prestigious science and technology college. Mrs. Weaver, while aware of her son's intelligence, explains that the family needs Wyatt's income from the mine to survive, as he is now the only man in their family. She hopes that in a few years, when Wyatt's younger brothers are old enough to work, they might reconsider schooling for Wyatt. Elizabeth is disappointed but leaves more books for Wyatt. Gowan confronts Abigail at the closed cafe, continuing to threaten her about cooperating with Inspector Avery. He warns her that the file she possesses is only half the story, and the other half, concerning Noah's responsibility in the explosion, would be detrimental to her late husband's reputation and her current situation if revealed. Gowan declares it's a company town, and he will be forced to expose the truth if Abigail and Bill Avery do not back down. Abigail remains unfazed, stating she can no longer be intimidated. Jack arrives just in time, ordering Gowan to leave and reminding him of Amounta's authority to arrest him for impeding an investigation and harassing a witness. Gowan leaves in anger, threatening to ruin Abigail. Jack and Rosemary have a frank conversation while target practicing. Rosemary admits she is jealous of Elizabeth and is determined to win Jack back. Jack firmly states that the only future he sees for himself is with Elizabeth. Rosemary doesn't give up, saying that once she sets her mind on something, she always gets it. Elizabeth writes in her journal, reflecting on the complexity of relationships and her faith in Jack. She wonders if she should accept the teaching offer back home, especially after Rosemary's arrival. She feels she has lost her initial resolve but then gathers her strength, believing that if Abigail can maintain her faith after all she's been through, then she can too. The episode ends with Rosemary overhearing news that Elizabeth might be leaving and smiling mysteriously.